Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the drunkest show in social media history. I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone. I got my co-host in the building, my man Donovan Sadiq, the Queen, Demetra K, and our brother in the struggle, Damian Thaddeus Jones, and I am the 5-star general. I'm covert tonight because it's time to go to war. So y'all sit back. This gonna be a good one. Oh my goodness, this gonna be a good one. Say, man, I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone and tell you, as usual, happy, whatever that may mean. You might be sitting there wondering, what the hell is wrong with this dude tonight? Well, guess what? I'm in the middle of some covert stuff, and I got something I got to do. Houston, City of Houston, Office of Business Opportunity. And the 5-star general, you think that hurricane finna tear up the city. Wait till I get through. I'm gonna turn it over to Demetra. I can't let you, I'm undercover right now.
And Gary got a whole lot of something going on. We're going to find out one of these days. So anyway, hello, how are you guys on this very fine Wednesday? I hope it's fine. I know you guys in Houston are preparing to perhaps battle a storm, a hurricane. It says that you guys are due to receive, maybe, because it may turn, or I don't know, a level 4 hurricane. So my well wishes are with you guys. So anyway, last night was the second night of the RNC. They had their, the Republicans had their convention, and they had a whole host of speakers. One of the speakers was the First Lady, Melania Trump. I honestly couldn't tell you what she was talking about. I know she talked for a very long time, okay? Sounded like she was big up in her husband a lot and, you know, just making him seem more all of that than he really was. But one of the speakers that really stood out was that of Daniel Cameron. He's the AG of Kentucky, where he, you know, was speaking in terms of being a Black Republican. And one of the things that he said was, we cannot allow the anarchists to tear up this country. They must be made, brought to justice. And he invoked the name of Breonna Taylor and her family and, you know, a couple other people. But for those of you guys who do not know who he is, Daniel Cameron, he is the AG of Kentucky, and he is the one that is withholding, actually arresting the officers that murdered Breonna Taylor as she slept in her home. They used a no-knock warrant. They claimed they was looking for, they thought whoever was in the apartment was dealing drugs and, you know, this, that, and the other. So they murdered her, took her boyfriend to jail for some time before they released him and dropped all the charges because he was doing the right thing and protecting his girlfriend at the time. And he started to shoot back, not knowing who it was. So anyway, Mr. Cameron has not to this day brought charges against the officers who blatantly murdered Breonna in cold blood. And so, you know, as I was watching him speak last night, I wanted to, and I'm not terribly a violent person, but I wanted to claw his face off because, you know, he's one of those people who is clearly a tool of white supremacy, and he doesn't mind being that. He's in there, you know, doing the job of white supremacy while he has the power. Now, obviously, we know the power is not completely his. We know that he's working for somebody, you know, who's really calling the shots. You know, he's up there with Mitch McConnell and all of that. But, you know, I wanted to claw his face off. You know, it's like, we need to get these people from tearing up our cities. Really? Well, why don't you do your job? Bring these people, these police officers to justice, and you won't have your cities torn up. So before we get into why, and I'll go ahead and tell you what we're going to do. We're going to talk about everything, most things connected to Jacob Blake. As you guys know, he was the young man in Kenosha, Wisconsin, that was shot 7 times in his back. He is still alive. They have said that he was shot in his spine. One of the bullets went through his spine, causing him to be paralyzed. They don't know if it's permanent or temporary at this point. And up until a couple of minutes ago, they being us, did not know the name of the officer, and they found out his name was Rustin Shesky, something like that. So they found out who he was because it seems like his police office and the union was doing their damnedest to disguise who it was that actually did the shooting. And so also last night, you guys have probably learned that a white supremacist, a 17-year-old white supremacist by the name of Kyle Rittenhouse, took it upon himself to parade down the middle of the street during the protest. Well, I guess it was an AK-47. Now, it turns out that he was actually with a group of militiamen, if you will, there to make sure the protesters didn't get out of hand and, do more damage because a couple of buildings were burned and things like that. And so the story also comes out that I saw the video of him running. So he was being chased by protesters, but they said that was after he shot the first person. And then they began to chase him, and then he falls on the ground, and then he starts to shoot where he shot the other two people. And so he took off. He's actually lives in Illinois. He took off, and they finally apprehended him, and they're holding him on intentional homicide or something like that. But again, he's 17. He's also have major ties to Blue Lives Matter. He's a big-time Blue Lives Matter supporter. He's a Trump supporter. He's also pictured at one of Trump's rallies. They showed a picture of him actually there in the front row. He's also a cadet with the police department and the fire department. So he's big time pro police and all of that. And so that's what we know so far. But he's been arrested and he killed two people, shot another one. It sounds like the person that is alive is going to lose their arm. And so also, before we get into it, all this stuff, and y'all can talk about it after that. The NBA has decided to boycott tonight's playoff game, if you will. It was the Milwaukee Bucks who first started it off. Says we're not going to play in solidarity with the protesters in regards to the Jacob Blake shooting because Kenosha is about 35 miles or so away from where the Bucks play. So they decided to do it in all of the playoff games. Decided within the NBA that they were going to boycott as well. And so here we are. Gary?
Just a quick follow-up to that. The Major League Baseball has canceled their games. I guess they're in the playoff situation, and they walked off the field. The WNBA has canceled games tonight as well. So a lot of the major sports events are canceling, and that's why you guys see me kind of, this news keeps coming in. Big shout out to Kenny the Jet Smith. He walked off the podium or the stage that he was on. And we read earlier that the Congressional Black Caucus about 16 minutes ago put out a statement in regards to demanding that Mitch McConnell bring to the floor the George Floyd bill that is supposed to change it all, I guess. So that's the latest that I have as of right now.
It ain't enough. It ain't enough. Now, I we normally talk before we come on, so I forgot to tell y'all, maybe about an hour ago, another officer involved shooting in Minneapolis. So you decided you wouldn't play tonight, and they still shoot. It's not enough. Now you wondering why I'm sitting up here like this. See, because I wear my uniform in public. But folks like the little boy up in Kenosha, working for your police department, working for your fire department, he doesn't wear his uniform in public. So you don't know who you're actually dealing with. So who are you dealing with me? An unapologetic black man that say that you NBA players, you ain't did shit. It ain't enough. It ain't enough. If you're real about it, won't you tell them cancel the whole season? If you're real about it, tell them I ain't going back on the floor until some real change happens. Affect their money. Affect one game don't mean nothing. It don't mean nothing. And as far as the Congressional Black Caucus, I guess you finally got the political protection you needed so you could open your mouth by now. It's not enough. Donovan?
Well, again, symbolism. We are involved with symbolism. We've been saying this for Demetri and I have been saying this for the last couple of years. They're still shooting us down in the streets. I believe we have a incarceration ticket. If you think that this Biden ticket is going to win with the climate that is here in the United States right now in regards to these millennials and young Black people, that the Democratic Party needs to win this election, you got another thing coming. They've got to come with the goods this time. But Damien, what do you think about it? Because I was watching your show earlier in the week, and you had made some great comments in regards to what is going on in the climate.
In terms of what?
In terms of the upcoming election, and your stance on what we're going to need to do.
Well, no. Let me just say this: are we talking about the NBA stuff right now? What are we talking about right now? So I can be on top of it.
Yeah. Let's talk about the NBA stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Good deal. Thank you again, as always. Thank y'all for having me. Glad to be back on the War Zone as always to talk about these hot topics. So I'm glad this invite came. I didn't know it was coming, but when I saw it in my inbox, I said, ooh, I'm chomping at the bit here. And so I'm a Laker fan, and particularly a Kobe fan. And so by being a Laker fan, I've come to like LeBron. But I applaud LeBron for his schools he built, and he's gone much further than Michael Jordan has gone in terms of doing things for the community and so forth. So I give him a lot of credit. I criticized him the other day about his fake reading of the Malcolm X autobiography and so forth and so on. But one critique I have of LeBron with the large pulpit that he has when it comes to these type of issues of social activism as it relates to these police shootings and things of that nature, it's a lot of symbolism with me with LeBron. I think he does stuff for attention, and I don't think he's real serious about these things, right? And as the leader of the NBA, you can blow smoke up people's ass all day, but the real activists can really see it from a mile away. And so when you look at this NBA protest, again, I just put on my page, I applaud the players, right? They say, hey, we want to be seen as more than an athlete. So I applaud them for stepping up in the middle of the playoffs and boycotting the game. Milwaukee Bucks, it happened in your state. I understand why you did, right? The other teams, I understand the basic premise of it. But for those of us that are on the ground doing the work each and every day as activists, as strategists, as community leaders, whenever there's a protest, you don't protest without having strategy on the front end. You develop the strategy and the end goal, then you put forth the protest. And what we're seeing from these NBA players is I'm protesting, but there's no strategy. And so my question is, what is the end goal, guys? Are you going to protest the whole season and the season over? I doubt that's the case, because they're more than likely going to be back on the floor in the next 2 days, right? So what are we working toward? Because there's no policy that's going to change in the next 2 days that's going to stop police from shooting. As Monroe just mentioned, there's been another shooting right after the protest happened, right? So what is the end goal? We have these large platforms. LeBron, he's tweeting, he's cursing. I'm tired of this shit, right? We demand change. Let's be specific with our ask and our demands. What is change? What specifically is the change that you're looking for? We're tired of injustice. There are a lot of injustices in this country. Which direct injustice are you speaking to? Are you talking about wealth inequality? Are you talking about police shootings? Are you talking about injustice in schools? What injustices are you talking about? So if we're serious about this work, we got to get past just the symbolism, because symbolism has done nothing for Black folks. We're still catching hell. And so we got to challenge these guys with these bully pulpits and these large platforms to get serious about it. I give the NFL a lot of credit, because they created a program where you see guys on Capitol Hill, you see guys in state legislators, and they're serious and going to advocate, right? But I'd like to see more, because these are real issues. So the symbolic tweets and the Instagram photos, Breonna Taylor, that's cute and nice. but what things are going to move the needle? So are you willing to end the season today? Right? I doubt it. They'll be playing in 2 days, right? But those Chris Pauls, those James Hardens, those LeBron James, I'd like to see somebody send them a 10-point plan. Now that you got everybody's attention, send them a 10-point plan with demands that they can tweet out to government officials, to law enforcement agencies, and so forth, and be serious about this work. Because just saying we demand change with no specific action items and ask leads us nowhere, and symbolism and optical activism does nothing for us. And this one last thing, I'll shut up. When we talk about this George Floyd Act from the Congressional Black Caucus, again, policing starts in the states. So any congressional action is not going to affect the states. It's going to affect the federal law enforcement agencies, right? And most of us don't run into federal law enforcement agents unless we're being investigated by the FBI. And so we need to be talking about legislation at the state level within our states to change the system of policing. So again, more symbolism at the federal level. And black folks, we get so excited about this symbolism. Oh, a protest is happening. We got to get deeper than this. This symbolism is doing nothing for us. And so I hear you. Listen, I'm being critical. I know that they made a great act, but we got to get deeper than the symbolic surface, folks. Because if you're tired of the Jacob Blakes, if you're tired of the George Floyds, if you're tired of the Rayshard Brooks, if you're tired of the Breonna Taylors, it's going to take us getting past the symbolism. It's going to take us getting past Joe Biden showing up at the fish fry. It's going to take us getting past Donald Trump pardoning a black man during the convention. We got to get past these symbolic things and really, really roll our sleeves up and get into the details. And so that's where it's a nice act. It's cute, but we need deeper strategy, real strategy. So I'm looking forward to some real strategy on these NBA guys tomorrow, because right now I'm really not impressed.
Demetri?
Well, actually, I'm going to take a little bit of an opposite stance in regards to LeBron and them, or LeBron and the athletes and things like that. Now, I want to first say, though, we should never be looking to celebrities and athletes as our leaders. That they are not. But I am one of those people who appreciate them using their platforms to bring awareness to it. And I also say that the challenge is not really on them, because they have everything they need. They live in gated communities. They got millions and millions and millions of dollars. They're probably less likely to go through the things that we go through. I know that they have, but they're probably less likely. But the challenge is really on us. Here we are in the middle of election season, and we are all, well, not me, because I'm holding my vote, but a lot of people are fighting over the better master. Who is going to be the better master to serve? Trump hasn't even talked about it. Trump says that he's going to send the National Guards down there and basically bust some heads open. We're going to take our streets back because we can't have these people, doing what they did in Portland, because the governor of Wisconsin was like, hey, okay, yeah, we need your help. But in Portland, Oregon, they're like, nah, we're going to let them do what they want to do down here. So Trump is basically saying, we're going to get some law and order. Those are his words. Biden, yeah, he did a little cute snippet of, invoking the words of Jacob Blake's mother, asking for peaceful protests and things like that. So, of course, they want us to be nonviolent, but it's really on us as, the voters, American people, to say, hey, enough is enough. Now, you have somebody like LeBron and even Kaepernick who have gotten the party started to some degree. I think it's on us to really, drive it home and say, okay, they're raising awareness to this. Now we need to actually do something on the ground level, and even if they continue to play, why do we keep watching these sports? A lot of these owners, especially with the NFL, they have proven over and over again, up until recently, the murder of George Floyd, they don't give a damn about black life as long as it's running up and down the field. But how many of us, not me, because I boycotted, we're continuing to watch these games? So we can't, and I can't remember who it was, because Al played me the snippet. He was saying that these players or the owners of these teams, they know senators and higher ups and all those things. They can make a phone call right now and say, hey, you guys need to write some legislation and really do something about the wholesale murder of Black people. So I'm not mad at them for, and yes, it's symbolism, but I'm not mad at them for doing what they need to do, because this is going to cost somebody a lot of money. But at the end of the day, this is on us. We have to decide. We are going to take a stance. Joe Biden don't give a damn about Black people. Trump don't give a damn about Black people. But yet we are all going to run to the polls on the lie that our ancestors died for our right to vote. And we still ain't going to get shit.
Well, I believe that words without action is just wasted thoughts. If you want to step out there and put yourself in a position of leadership in any capacity, then you have to be willing to go through the hell that Mahmoud Abdul Rauf went through. You have to be willing to go through the hell that the two brothers in the Olympics in the 60s went through. So, you know, from an athletic standpoint, I will say this here. If you ain't ready to go front line, just shut your fucking mouth. If you ain't ready to lose your career right now, then shut your mouth. Because people are going to listen to you. You know, where the rappers at? What they got to say? You see what I'm saying? But when the rappers get to talking and they get a little radical, everybody want to back up. It's okay to be peaceful. You know, it's okay to be peaceful, but I don't know if I have another cheek to turn. I don't think I have one. You know, you want to be peaceful, you want to solve it dignifiedly, but being peaceful has only increased the body count since the 1960s. Being peaceful, that's all it's done. I'm not telling people to go out and destroy stuff. I'm just telling you what the facts are. Being peaceful has only increased the body count. And we have to get to some medium. We have to get there. Because I'm being honest with you. I don't care what people say or what they think. It's just too many people that have not woken up. But your worst nightmares if they do. Your worst nightmares if they actually wake up. Are you prepared for that, the United States of America? I don't think that you are. And my thing is this. Whether it's Black Lives Matter or protest, I keep saying that and I don't want to be racial, but I have to say this. White folk, every time this look like this, popping like this here, that ain't our people standing in the streets with them AKs shooting them folk, man. That's your people, man. That's your little kids on the skateboards, man. But we getting credit for it. Stop giving us the credit that we don't rightly deserve. And the only thing I can tell anybody in the United States of America, you have the right to protect yourself. If you're going to go to these protests, make sure that you protect yourself, because you never know. I think y'all that went into Grandmaster's inbox, you might need to be in apologetic mode right now.
Donovan?
I was in the comments, and you know, it's very somber, you know, for me today, you know, and you can tell by the attitude of everybody on the panel and even the people in the comments, because how many times do we have to see this story? How many times do we have to, you know, see a Black man get shot down, then the playbook comes out, you get the family to talk about peace and, you know, nonviolence, and then you see the CBC and our elected officials, just like Damien said. I haven't heard any of my local officials say anything about it. You know, they're hiding under a rock somewhere, you know, whatever their excuses are. But we've got to do something different, y'all, because it is, to me, obvious that this so-called party, the Democrats and the Republicans, ain't doing what needs to be done in regard to our agenda or what we need to be done to protect ourselves. They're not even protecting us, and we're still voting for them. I mean, they got us right where they want us. And the Green Party, which we talked to the other day, opened my eyes and said, here's a party that has everything a Black person would want in mass or in general. And yet we give them no mind, and we feel helpless because, well, we can only vote for two major parties. We got to get out of this sports mentality. I want to be on the winning team. I want to be everybody was a damn Chicago Bulls fan. I don't know anybody that's a Chicago Bulls fan now. I ride with my Cowboys, win or lose. But politics has become, oh, you got to, go on the winning team. No, Damian says it all the time. Feed your family. Do what is best for your family. Look at these people's policies. What do they stand for? I mean, it's just another person has been killed and more are to come. And I'm just done.
We got to call it out, man. If you guys can remember, when I was in Minneapolis, when George first happened, and I reported the officer's name that, I knew had went around and bust windows at the AutoZone and all that, and everybody said I was stupid and crazy. But come to find out, I was right. Now, Rebecca, you say it's not cops. In a lot of instances, it is. Now, as crazy as Trump may be, according to Shane Hawkins, and he's on the money, he said Trump called out Antifa and these characters, mostly white, and the Democrats said he was crazy. No, he not. No, he not. What set of kids have the ability to go and burn a whole parking lot of cars, blow up all the cars in the parking lot? Come on, man. That ain't no kids on no skateboards, bro. And the thing is we don't want to call it out. Well, I'm gonna call it out. I'm gonna call it out, man. This your folk, they out of control. You need to grab them. Because in some cities, we ain't having it. We ain't having it, man. It's right now it's like we slow with our responses tonight. Because me, I'm in awe. I'm gonna tell you, I'm just flat out in awe that this is even still going on. That nobody has really stepped up to the plate. Okay, so when we strap it up, don't tell us we're doing it wrong. I will protect my family by any means necessary. No questions about that. We have to address the problem. And when you started off, D, and you and Donovan and were talking about they were going in and they put in the fire to Mitch O'Connell with the George Floyd. I don't want to hear that. That shit ain't worth a damn. That whole little bill ain't worth a damn. And it ain't going nowhere, and it ain't gonna stop nothing. You have white supremacists working in the police department, and you know it. When y'all gonna call your family out, man? You stay calling us out.
So if I could say this, I'm not muted. Okay. I always talk about, on my show and any show I'm on, I always talk about, hey, folks, vote, 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 vote. I don't care who you vote for, but you need to exercise your right to vote. And I know my colleagues here talk about holding your vote. And I saw a post that Demetra put up a few minutes ago saying, if NBA players can hold the ball, then I can hold my vote. And I know a lot of you give Demetra and other folks who have that position some flack for that, because you feel like it's counterproductive, right? And even I put a post up on Facebook a few moments ago, just kind of saying what I said earlier, like we need strategy in this symbolic protest. And some, one of my good friends jumped in the comments, older guy, well, we need to vote. Well, clearly, folks, we've been voting, right? And so that lie about black men not voting and black folks not voting, it's a damn lie. It's a lie that folks keep bringing up every election cycle to blame us as though we're not turning out. We vote. We saved Joe Biden. We saved Democrats. We vote. We even vote in the Republican side. So let's kill that malarkey, right? We vote. Now that you understand that we are voting, but the same issues remain, right? Again, we've been talking about jobs and justice for 40, 50, 60 years now, right? So as we voted for Obama in record numbers, still shot down like a dog, Trayvon Martin, so forth and so on. Well, Tamir Rice. We came out and we vote locally. We vote nationally. We're still being killed, right? We had record turnout across the country in the 2018 midterms. Jacob Blake still shot 7 times in the back. George Floyd still killed, and so forth and so on. So don't talk to me about voting. And so now we're at a point, as everybody's saying on the platform here today, we're in awe that this is still happening. You know, we have these conversations so often, it's still happening. So what do? Maybe it's time that we hold the vote to show people that we are serious. Because listen, police brutality amongst Black folks, poor people, it's not a partisan issue. Don't let Joe Biden and Democrats lie to you and try to make it seem like the other side is the boogeyman. It's not a partisan issue. Don't let Donald Trump try to fool you and make it seem like Democrats want to make the country unsafer, right? Black protection, equal protection under the law, that's a constitutional issue, and that's not a partisan issue, right? So Black folks, we need to band together, and we've got to use whatever resources we can to get folks to show that we're serious. You see NBA players are saying, hey, I love playing basketball, but I'm not going to hoop tonight because we're tired of this BS, right? And so for us that are everyday people who are not entertainers, who are not NBA players, who are not NFL players, right? The one way that we have to exercise our right in choosing elected representation is the vote. And so maybe it's time that we hold the vote and hold our value until we get some real change at the local level. People, stop talking to me about the federal level. The federal level, when it comes to law enforcement, is symbolism. Hear me out, people. Your state legislators, your governors control the specific laws as it relates to law enforcement in your states, not Donald Trump, not Joe Biden, not the Department of Justice. Governor, it is your state representative, it is your state senators, people. And I would argue that many of you may not even know who those people are in your local area. So therefore, you're behind the ball right now. We have these conversations about Joe Biden and Donald Trump and the RNC and DNC, but tell me, who is your city council person? Who is your mayor? Who is your state representative? Who is your state senator? Who is your sheriff? Who is your district attorney? Those are the people that make the real decisions as it relates to law enforcement and their engagement with the community, people, right? So if we're tired, stop voting for these people that are not giving you real action, number one. Number two, stop following leaders that only show you symbolism. Stop following leaders that just want to gather for a protest and a rally, and you don't see anything else after that. I'm tired of seeing the empty, the lacking Black Lives Matter organizations that don't organize anybody, that don't hold any meetings, right? That don't have any real strategy. They want to show up in front of cameras and talk this big talk. That is why we're in the position that we are in now, people, because we don't have real leadership showing us which way to go, strategic measure. The civil rights movement was a movement because it had strategy. A. Philip Randolph, John Lewis, Martin King, Bayard Rustin, Ella Baker, Diane Nash, go on and on. They had strategy. They said it had meetings, right? So stop following these leaders. I'm just gonna be frank. I've been holding this, but I'm just angry about this. I don't know why Al Sharpton is holding a damn rally in Washington, D.C. right now. Given that we have a coronavirus pandemic, you're going to tell people, old people, middle-aged people, to get on a damn bus and go to D.C. in the middle of the summer, coronavirus pandemic, just so he can get on the microphone and say, no justice, no peace. We've been following that rule how many years, and we've gotten nowhere.
That's what
right?
that Crump gonna do for you.
Right. Go ahead, Monroe. Go ahead. But so I'm just like, folks, if we gotta hold our vote, then hold our vote. But at this point, we've got to use whatever measure we can. The respectability politics is out of the door. Guess what? Police don't respect us. So if you want to be nice and take a picture with the white man or take a picture with the legislator and say I met him and they remember my birthday, but that's not getting us anywhere, people. At some point, we got to be radical to a point and be serious and straighten our backs up and demand real change, because I don't want my grandchildren, nieces and nephews falling victim to police violence because I wanted to play respectability politics. And so I'll get off my.
I know you're emotional, man. Shane Hawkins said Rontrell Bradford resisting arrest is illegal, right? So a cop shooting a person resisting arrest should be okay. Did you just crack up out of an Easter egg? Or maybe you were born in a jack-in-a-box. So what you're telling me is resisting arrest according to the statutes and the laws that are in place. One of the penalties is that you should be executed. Bro, let me tell you something. I want to work with some of y'all, but let me tell you something. When you make comments like that, okay, well, maybe I got it wrong, because some people feel that way, Shane, that he was resisting arrest. Resisting arrest does not require that you execute somebody. But I'm going to keep saying this, Ms. Demetra, because you next up to bat. You bat and clean up on this. It doesn't stop until we make it stop. LeBron can't make it stop. We have to make it stop. If Kobe was living, he couldn't make it stop. We have to make it stop. When you get sick and tired of something, you're going to do something about it. That's all it boils down to. Now, I want people to understand something. That, oh, we're heading towards a race war. Well, just remember, we didn't start it. We didn't start it. If you don't want these kids out here looting and robbing and tearing up shit, do something about your cops. That's all it boils down to. Do something about your cops. I just don't know if people get it, Demetra and Donovan and Damian. Y'all not ready. The only thing that has you at a clear advantage is the separation of black people. If they ever wake up and they don't be separated no more, you're going to have a problem on your hand. Remember, I told it to you first.
So yeah, and I was just looking at the comments, and Shane said he was actually replying, I guess, to some comment that was made. Remember, I was telling you sometimes it reads differently on our end. But anyway, so yeah, Damien, I wholeheartedly agree with you in regards to Al Sharpton holding a march this weekend. Like, for what? What are you holding a march for? Because you're going to be the very same person to go tell all those people there to go continue voting for oppression. You're not giving a solution. That's a big glorified soapbox for Al Sharpton to get up there and act like Martin Luther King knockoff Jr. and, you know, all these other civil rights leaders. But Al Sharpton, you know, he's got the bag and now he's, you know, playing civil rights, I guess. But for me, I don't think it's necessarily that I'm in awe. I'm tired. You know, I think that's what it is for me. I'm mentally fatigued because it's getting to the point to where we're not even able to keep up with all of these names of black people who are being mowed down, murdered wholesale by these police officers. And it should be said that both parties, Trump and Biden, are very pro-police. They don't think the police should be defunded. In fact, they want to give more money to the police. And so while they may give us good lip service, oh, let's, you know, be non-violent, let's see what we need to do. No, you guys being, you know, the White House, Congress and all them, they have the real power to make change, but they won't make change because we're not really forcing them to. We'll spend more time online fighting back and forth with each other. You know, oh, why won't you vote? And Damon, if you think I get it bad, Donovan gets it bad. I mean, he has people just like swarming on there. You know, you're stupid, and you know, you're telling people to do this, and you know, and I'm like, You Biden people, and I stand on 10 toes on this, you Biden people are worse as the MAGA crowd. Because y'all talk about how the MAGA crowd is trying to take your rights away with Trump and this, that, and the other, but you're trying to tell people what to say. I thought we had freedom of speech. I thought I was able to make the decisions that I wanted to in regards to my vote. I mean, it's like ridiculous. And so, like I said, I am tired because while we say we won't change, I don't think we really do. We just want the symbolism and just to be able to run out of the booth with the I voted sticker so you can get on Facebook and Instagram and, hashtag I voted. But then you ask them, what did you vote for? I don't know. I just wanted to get Trump out of office. But yeah, we still got people being murdered wholesale in the middle of the street. But you voted for what?
Absolutely. And it's kind of funny. I got a few phone calls and the people, a lot of the people that are like on my bumper are people that I grew up with and was in the military with. And I'm looking at them like, wait a minute here. As military folks, we should know, hey, if you like me or you hate me, I answered the call and I went out there and now I'm home and I should be able to vote for whoever I want to vote for and speak however I want to speak without anybody questioning my politics. Because I don't go on people's pages and post my stuff. I stay on my page. But I get this thing going on. People say, well, you're going to lose a lot of friends. Well, no. I'm not going to lose any friends. If my friends don't want to deal with what I've been doing, Dimitri, we've been doing this for how long now? Years. This ain't nothing new. So all of a sudden now you guys are getting political because I'm calling out the situation at hand. Never once has Dimitri and I told anybody not to vote. We've always told people, ask people, why are you voting? And if you are going to vote, get something for it. We don't care. Get something for that vote. Is that too much to ask? But mentally tired, seeing Black people it's like this. And I say it on the show, and Damien, I know you see it all the time. I say the definition of insanity. That's what we're involved in right now. We keep doing the same stuff over and over again and expecting a different result. You've got the baby boomers who did miraculous stuff in the 60s. But that worked in the 60s. That isn't going to work today. So we really, like Damien said, it's the local level. Your councilmen, your judges, all of that stuff. That's all that matters. But you know what? I'm sick and tired of people telling me, well, go out and vote. Like that's going to do anything different. I've been doing that. And people are still getting mowed out. As a matter of fact, they're getting mowed down at a faster rate than it was when I was a young man.
Yeah. If I want to ask this question though, and I was talking, I put some thoughts on my page about the Jacob Blake shooting, and hey, I think the shooting was unjustified. Number one, I think it's traumatizing for his children, his family. We still haven't heard the actual charge why they were attempting to detain him or arrest him whatsoever. So we still haven't heard that. A lot of questions about it. We've seen that short video. I saw that Wisconsin AG did a press conference a few moments ago and said that the Kenosha PD does not have body cameras, so we don't have any body camera footage. They said that Jacob told them that he had a knife in the right, and so they're going to use the defense that he was walking to may possibly get the knife out of the car, right? And so here's what I think happened. I think that you saw this in the Rayshard Brooks situation. Cops are trying to control the situation through force, through physical action, what have you. When they lose control of the situation, and it looks like Jacob tussled a little bit, and then you saw him walking away. He tussled with them. They could not control the situation, and so they had to settle the score and get back control. And they often do that using lethal force to do that. Once a white cop, black man has bested them, then their ego is, and they said, well, let me settle this by any means. And so that, for me, that explains 7 shots to the back, right? We know there was no weapon on his body, but 7 shots to the back. The AG said that they tried to tase him and the taser didn't work. This is what the AG said. And so they used force. Only one cop used force or what have you. But here's my critique, though. And I love my dear brother, Jacob Blake. And I hate that that happened to him. God bless his family. This should not have happened, right? But we also have to think about our mortality and how we also can be a little smarter in those situations. And I know y'all about to tear me up for this. But I think he should have complied in that moment. I think he should have complied in that moment, right? Because here's one time where Jacob was able to survive and he'll be able to tell the story as to what happened. Oftentimes, that person does not live to tell their story, right? And so my advice to any young brother, young sister, black, brown, what have you, and listen, I've been stopped by police tons of times for reasons I don't know. I've had a red dot put on my forehead by police before when I was 20 years old, right? I've been stopped when I was living in DC, stopped by Capitol Police and harassed, saying that I fit the bill of a burglar. All those different things. I've had many instances, right? Been stopped by state troopers, FBI, all this good stuff before, right? But I complied. They pissed me off, but I complied, right? Because I wanted to live to see another day to tell my story. And I know it feels like you're being emasculated. I know it feels like you have your rights stripped of you. I know it makes you feel like you're less than a person, less than a human, to have someone just screw with you in such a way you can do nothing. But we have to be smart in the situation. And no matter what was happening there, Jacob should have complied with whatever the police were telling him, took the cuffs, got in the car, drove off, hired a lawyer, and handled it from there and let the legal process play it out. We got to stop wrestling with the police, right? We understand that injustices happen, but we got to stop fighting and wrestling with the police because it's never going to be in our favor in the court of law or, you know, in terms of lethal judgment, right? So I just want to offer that critique. And I know many folks won't agree with me there, but we got to be smarter to make sure we can live to see another day, to tell the story, and to use our story to help others.
Well, I don't think anybody in the country is going to do it. So tonight I'll jump on your side and I'll be the bad guy for a second. Somebody needs to get a slow boat to China and put Ben Crump on it. You have a Skype press conference where this boy's mama is denouncing this and denouncing that and, you know, praying for the police. Hold on, Nick Rowe. I got a problem with that. Every time you show up, one of your clients run the same playbook. You did it in Dallas, you didn't get nothing out the game. You show up, you try to make everybody believe we need to kumbaya this situation. Now, once the kumbaya is over, your ass go back to Florida. You don't come back to these communities. We got to keep dealing with this. I don't like it. I don't like it. Because some of us are front line. But you know what? I'm like, Grandmaster, get your ass on the front line. We're not getting nothing done. Crump, your people, I know some of your people, they watch this show, and they gonna get the word to you. Negro, you gonna get your money. You gonna get your money. But what you doing is you snatching the rug from under the real grassroots organizers and protesters' feet. When you play this game, I don't cut. Say, man, I'm telling you, Demetri Donovan, if the police kill Monroe, tear this motherfucker up. That's how I feel about it, man. And I'm just looking because somebody put that out there. You know, that come on, man, we can't get nothing done. It might be one of y'all tomorrow that's on the ground with this foolishness. Man, somebody call me, tell them they done killed Demetri. They might as well stop transportation in every means possible because I'm coming. I am a passionate person, and just the same old thing. It's the same old playbook across the board. This is why we can't get anything done.
Let me just say, if something happens to me, y'all, don't let Ben Crump anywhere near my family, my body, my funeral, nothing. Listen, I know we got a ton of brilliant Black lawyers in America that can speak up for these families and represent these families better than a Ben Crump. It's a game to him. I've been in conversations, private conversations. I won't reveal what some of the private conversations were like, but let me just tell you, that brother's not as serious about this work as he make it seem.
No, I agree with you. God forbid something happened to me. That do not call Benjamin Crump. Okay, do not call him at all. But I want to say this, in regards to Damien, what you said as far as him, Jacob should have complied. I agree with you 110,000% that he should have complied. But he also should have got the end result that white people get that don't comply. Now, the other thing I will say to this, because I think this is the part of the story that's being missed. It is said that he went to break up a fight between two women, right? And so the other part of that is we as Black people, I'll just put it out there, and some of y'all may be mad at me, as you know, Dr. Claude Anderson impresses upon us, we need to stop engaging in inappropriate behavior. Why the hell are these two grown-ass women, I'm assuming they're grown-ass women, why are you fighting to the point to where this man has to come and try to break it up? And now he's laid up with 7 bullet holes in him, you know, because he came to deal with y'all nonsense. See, like, we need to have the whole conversation. It's about this inappropriate behavior. But yeah, he should have complied. But, you know, we've seen, hell, the dude that shot up the 3 people at the protest, he waved to the police and has even said that the police gave him some water. So, you know, and I saw the video after he shot those people. He's walking and he threw his hands up and the police passed him by and he was like, all right, let me get on back home then. And so, yeah, I don't think that he should have been shot 7 times, especially in front of his children. And somebody can also throw it back and say, well, he knew his children were in the car. He should have complied. But, you know, it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback. And I'm not saying that about you, Damien. Until we're in the shoes of somebody who, you know, has got 7 bullet holes in their back. But like I said, we see white people running toward police officers with guns and knives and, you know, they're, hey, buddy, it's going to be okay. So, I mean, I don't know. But
you know, that situation was a textbook teaching opportunity for de-escalation tactics, right? There was not, that man didn't have a gun, and if you see that video start, you see 3 or 4 guns pointed at him, as though he has already killed several people, as though he has an AR pointed at police. That wasn't the case. He was walking away, right? And so, do you tase him? Do you try to use physical force to tackle him and take down the threat, if you will? But where do we get to the point where we're grabbing the T-shirt and then we're shooting not once or twice to neutralize the threat, but 7 times in the back, right? That could have been teaching and training tape for the next cadet class in Kenosha as to how to handle a situation, right? But by that city not having body cameras lets me know that their book may not be where it needs to be. Then also tells me that those cops probably aren't paid as well as they need to be. Then lets me know that probably their educational requirement isn't as high. And so what did that mean to me? They probably got Billy Bobs on the police force there that have a certain biases against Black people. Kenosha is 10% Black and a high percent white, right? And so they probably were in the only little small Black neighborhood and already have their ways of thinking about those folks there. Mr. Blake having dreads and things of that nature. So we already know what those stereotypes come with. But that was a perfect opportunity for de-escalation, teaching tape de-escalation. Those are the things that I talk about. Better psychological evaluation for police, better hiring practices while you're hiring former military, checking them for PTSD annually, Stop teaching them to be warriors on the job and be more community related. Giving them less firearms training and more cultural competence and community related training as well. Those are the things we're talking about. Those are the demands that we have to make of law enforcement, no matter what state you are in. And so I just think there was a missed opportunity there. He should have complied, absolutely, but he still should not have been shot 7 times in the back. They could have handled that more cleaner, in a way that the community can have more trust and more faith in as we go forward.
Bridget Nickerson said Ben Crump is the only one stepping up. That's a lie. You ever saw a peace ride in LA with brother Tony Muhammad? Have you seen the gang-related shootings go down in the city of Los Angeles since Tony them started doing the peace rides? Brother Abdul Halim Muhammad in the city of Houston. The brother up in Baton Rouge. You know what I'm saying? Ben Crump ain't the only one stepping up. Ben Crump is the only one benefiting. I don't care what nobody tell me. It is what it is. Now, I will agree with you. If you knew that there was a possibility that you were going to shoot that man, why didn't y'all just tackle him before he get to the car? You never had to pull your gun out. See, we keep looking for excuses when this happens, but then when it happens to your family, there is no excuse. No, it's not going to stop happening. There are thousands of people across this country that stand up every single day. But the people that can go in and change these laws are not doing anything about it. So that tells me somebody making money. Somebody making some money for certain laws not to be changed. And here's the biggest question. I think ain't none of us touched on it. And it's something that I've been talking to law enforcement about and city officials. Is there a way that you can figure out if these people even supposed to have these guns at these protests? How the hell does a 17-year-old have a damn AK-47 at a protest? And nobody checked, it might be uncomfortable, you might get pissed, but man, where your gun license at, man? You know how many illegal guns are at these protests? We don't want to own up to that, but we're going to have to. But as far as Crump, that's how I feel. I'm not changing the way that I feel. The man is a parasite.
And Donovan had to leave. He had flight simulator school, so he had to get out of here. So of course he'll be back tomorrow. But yeah, like I said, it's just very exhausting. It'll end, I guess, when we, especially as Black people, get serious about what we need to get serious about. We keep focusing on everybody else's thing. And I'm always tie it back to politics, because that's where we focus. We put a lot of our focus as in politics with people who aren't going to do anything for us, hasn't done anything for us, and will never do anything for us. And so, we need to just decide that we are tired of, being last place in every way, shape, and form. We are tired of being murdered wholesale. There are things that we can do. First of all, as Dr. Claude Anderson say, if we build our own economy, our businesses, and practice group economics and stop giving away 97% of our $1.3 trillion every year, then we'll get a lot of people's attention. But as long as we as Black people are dependent and needy upon a system of white supremacy, because that's what it is, regardless if it's the Republicans or the Democrats, we are always going to be having these conversations about our people being mowed down in cold blood. And the next thing we need to ponder is it going to be us next? I, as a Black woman, whenever I see the police, I get a little anxious, like, damn, are they going to pull me over? What's their agenda and all of that? And, I shouldn't have to feel that way, but I do. And so, until we get serious about the state of our own community, we'll be talking about this next week, if not tomorrow.
You know what I think the part of the problem is, Demetra Monroe? I don't think Black folks believe in themselves enough. I don't think we believe in ourselves enough. we run black people for president and pat them down, and we find every fault in their lives and their leadership, but then we make every excuse for one of the most flawed white candidates ever. The white man's ice is colder. Cory Booker is not good enough. Kamala Harris is not good enough, so forth and so on. But Joe Biden is the answer, right? Even when it comes to your local politics, you find every nook and cranny and problem with the black person. Well, he wasn't never down with us. I ain't like him in high school. But the white man who you know nothing about, who smiles in your face, you support him because he comes to the fish fry and he two steps with you and he shows up at the church, right? Who better to understand the issues and the problems and the resolutions for our issues than the black leader? Who can fix the problems for black America in America? The black person. Donovan always talks about this. Doing the same thing and expecting different results is insanity. How long do we continue to beg white politicians to understand the issues and the plight of black people? And then when they miss the mark, we get mad at them, but they don't know what it's like to be us. So the most logical thing is train, lift up, empower, give money to, let me also say that, give money to your good, and I say good, I say not every black politician, but your good progressive black politicians who will stand up for you unabashedly, who won't run away and disown Minister Farrakhan. I don't like those type of people, right? I think we're past that those type of black folks, right? Okay, we gave Barack a pay. Anybody else who does it is dead in these streets for doing things like that. Don't disown our brother. But let's put money behind these good progressive young black folks who will stand tall on your issues, who understands what is going on today, who has the vitality to do so, right? But we're putting all our eggs in the Joe Biden bucket. We're putting all our eggs in the Donald Trump bucket, right? Or we put our eggs in career politicians who have sold your interests up the river. And so we don't believe in ourselves enough, right? Who will change our conditions? The person in the mirror. So if you think you're strong enough, if you think you have the qualifications, put your name on the ballot. Reach out to a local consultant. Get yourself trained up and understand how the process works. In Houston, you got Monroe, you got myself. We'll get you together. In California, you got Demetri, you got Donovan. They'll get you together, right? But we will change our own conditions. Stop waiting around and being keyboard gangsters and waiting on somebody else to change our positions because we don't believe in ourselves enough. So part of the reason why people keep their knee on our neck and their thumbs on down on us is because they understand and know that at the end of the day, we'll talk big talk, but when the rubber hits the road, we don't believe in ourselves enough to really carry it out. So if we believe in ourselves, we'll run for president. We'll run for lieutenant governor. We'll run for vice president. We'll run for governor, state representative, so forth and so on, and change the conditions in our community. And therefore, we don't have to beg anybody who won't pick up the phone, who we don't hear from. You get tired of just getting turkeys, but then you don't hear from them the rest of the year. And so let's believe in ourselves much more, people, because we can change the world just by having a different mode of thinking.
I totally agree with you. You're getting, some people say that Angela, they're going back to KKK tactics. They're not going back to anything. They never left. Ain't nothing changed. The only thing changed is the way that we decided to deal with it. See, when Demetrius preaching a sermon about, don't spend your money, the disciplined Negro of the 60s, they did that. You undisciplined Negroes of 2020, you ain't finna do that. You don't understand how important our money is to this economy. You don't understand that they need the Burger Kings and the Jack in the Boxes open. They need us working these menial jobs. They need to make that money. But when you wake up and you understand, okay, I'll tell you what, let's not spend our money. You're not disciplined enough. Even if a TI calls you out and say, let's just do it for one day. You can't even do it for one day. But in the 60s, they did it 381 days. They bankrupt the transportation system of Montgomery, Alabama. We're talking about Montgomery, Alabama, which changed the landscape of civil rights for everybody in the whole country. One little city. So imagine if we just held our money. But now we got something more powerful than money. It's called a vote. And they do not want you to hold that vote because they need to get to the money, man. And if we wake up and understand that our money is the key to everything changing, it'll change overnight. 3 days without us spending $1, man, they finna go in and they fuck around and give us all reparations just to have money so we can spend it. But you got to take a sacrifice and you got to stand on your 10 toes for that. And the reason that some of y'all will never sacrifice is because you got your 40 acres and a mule. You got your house in the suburb and your nice little car in the driveway. You ain't willing to jeopardize that for nobody because you think that you made it. You made it. No, what you're doing by not doing what I'm telling you, you got us in a worse position than they ever was in the 60s. Because at least you could identify Black leadership back then. We don't have any Black leadership right now. And the only leadership that we have, you sit back and you let everybody and their mama attack him and denounce him. They've conditioned you to believe that the man that can preach this sermon better than either one of us is the devil. He's the devil because he has all the information on how to make it right. Now, here's the thing. Somebody told me the other day, y'all, that the people before us abandoned us. Where do you think the good minister come from? He OG. He trying to give us the game. But y'all don't want to listen. You want people outside of our Black ethnicity to tell you that this Black man is not good for you. But the information that he's giving us, he's not telling us to go out there and shoot churches up. He's not telling us to blow up government buildings. He's telling us to love each other and love ourselves and keep your money in-house. So how in the hell do you get on the list for being a terrorist for saying that much? Because they understand how powerful our dollar is to their survival.
And to you and Damien's point in regarding Farrakhan, it was always said they needed to stop the rise of a Black Messiah. And so far up until Farrakhan, they have done that by taking out our Black leaders. And so, of course, it is to white supremacy's benefit to discredit him and make him out to be this devil, as you say. And to your point, there's a lot of us who believe that, which is sad. We really need to educate ourselves. But I want to take Steve Robinson. How you doing? He says, stop affiliating with a party, remain independent. Neither the Republicans or Democrats will save us. They are not for us, period. I agree. I'm not partisan because I agree. I'm not going to get in the dog pile of going back and forth of which master is going to be better for us as Black people. Then also like to take Shane's comment. How you doing? He says, but with so many single households, it is hard to build wealth. That's what hurts the Black communities the most, in my opinion. And if I'm not mistaken, Shane appears to be white. So I want to say this. Why is it that he now, obviously, let's also concede this point. There's a whole lot of things going into making our situation more of a single parent household, systemic and institutional racism. But the other part of that is us as Black people, Black men and women, we stay at each other's throats all day long. And nothing has made that more obvious than the internet. You can scroll on your page right now and seeing somebody say Black men ain't this, Black women ain't that. But yet, to his point, we got single parent households, and we are struggling more than ever. Donovan talks about all the time. We are 12 years less than that to being a slave. We say that obviously on the play on the movie 12 Years a Slave. So 12 years to being a slave, probably less than that, because we are going to be out of money. So at some point in time, we just got to get it. As Damien said so beautifully, we got to believe in ourselves. We have to believe that we are worthy of having all that we are supposed to have. And that's really by stopping the nonsense and getting on the same page.
Well, I think I said it last night that we live inside of a box. So when we're inside of this box, we can't see what these people are really doing to us. But then they got some good white people that sit outside the box. And they're like, man, how the hell is y'all letting this go on? They can see it. They can see what you can't see. You got to get outside of the box to be able to see it. Say, man, protect yourself, protect your family. You know, if you don't want to be front line, then don't say nothing. Because right now it's going to take front line to solve this, man. It's going to take the soldiers in every city. And honestly, you don't need 400 soldiers. You need 10. You need 5 to 10 people that just got the ear of everybody. And if you're willing to walk behind them 5 or 10, them 5 or 10 can have them discussions that need to be had. And when it's all said and done, you'll get the movement that you want. But if we learn how to hold our money, we fix all this in a heartbeat. When we don't spend our money, they're going to come to the table and give us anything we want. Anything we want. Now, Trump is Trump. But the one that you about to vote for, the one you about to break your ankle for to get in that vote and vote for, he ain't talking about doing nothing for us. He ain't talking about making sure these cops ain't killing us. None of this. Well, matter of fact, he's been very proactive in making sure that we go to jail. You better think about it, man. Because this may get worse than what it is right now. It may get worse than what it is, Damien.
And I always go back to this, economic power. I think you just kind of mentioned it. Folks talk about if we hold our dollar, if we don't spend for a week, if we don't spend for 3 days, we will have so much of an economic reckoning on the economy in this country, right? But most of us have a stake in politics. And so I know Joe Biden is sending you all emails right now asking for money. Donald Trump is sending emails asking for money. Your local politicians are texting you, sending emails asking for money. But Black folks, how about if we pooled our resources and supported a political movement, a political PAC? And you don't have to have a lot of money, $25, $5, $10 that go toward pushing and building Black power in your particular area. Now, I got tired of talking. And so I created a PAC right here in the state of Texas, the Urban Justice and Equity PAC, right? That's strictly built toward building Black political power. I just put the link in the comments, right? You can click on that link, right? And so we want to help young progressive Black folks, and no matter the party, right? We want to help build Black power in this state, right? Because nobody's helping us over the finish line. Often Black candidates don't do well, not because they don't have the talent, but because they don't have the money to send mail. They don't have the money to send people to knock on doors and things of that nature. They don't have money to buy the signs. They don't have money to hire big wig consultants and so forth and so on. The talent is there. The passion is there. It's the lack of economic resources. So if we could just take $25 from the shoes that we'll buy or the disposable income that we have and invest in our political future, we can do so much. And so I encourage you to go look at that link. And if you have disposable income, you have a few dollars, $5, $10, $25, invest in this PAC that will help good Black folks in the state of Texas, because we have the most African Americans of any state, but we don't have any Black folks at the state level. Democrats keep lying to us, telling us that we're doing well, we're going to turn Texas blue, and nothing's happening, right? And so therefore we have to take it into our own hands. And so I'm not a talker, I'm a doer. And so that's why we created this powerful PAC, and we're going to flip this thing on its head. But we need your support. and I'll be working with Monroe and others. But give us a little money. If you can give Joe Biden $25, you can get a black man $25. If you can give Donald Trump $50, you can give me $25, $15, a recurring monthly contribution or what have you. But we cannot win elections without money, people. Passion doesn't win it. Turkeys doesn't win it. Church visits doesn't win it. We need money across the board. And so therefore, if you're serious talk about building black power, it starts with building black political infrastructure. So give your money, click on that link, and I appreciate your help.
Angela Davis says, Joe Biden, we're going to make him deserve our vote. And I think she meant to put Trump. Trump must go. He will never deserve your vote. He does not respect you. He doesn't respect anything about us. Because if he did, we'd be in his plan. There's nothing in his plan that directly affects us, but there are things in his plan that directly affect other people and other races, and even a movement that is not considered a race, LGBTQ. But it's in his plan, it's written in black and white. But there's nothing written that directly affects African Americans. You can think that this man will change, but if a man does not respect you, that's the easiest way for me to leave you alone, when I don't respect you. I'm not going to communicate with you. I'm not going to compromise with you. I'm not going to do anything with you. And if you think that Joe Biden does not know what Black America needs, that is a lie, because Robert Williams and the coalition that I sat on sent the Black agenda directly to his people. He's had every opportunity to include, if not everything in that plan, but portions of it.
Let me say this.
Yes.
And we've yet to hear back. We've yet to hear back. I was in that meeting. I got Robert the email to send. We've yet to hear back.
So if you're waiting for Joe to respect us, it's not going to happen. Final thoughts, Ms. Demetra.
I totally agree. You guys, please hit the link that Damien put up, because somebody else made a good point that we invest in Netflix and Disney and all those other things that absolutely do us, they do us no good, completely none at all. It keeps us idle and not contributing to the betterment of our people. So yes, please hit that link. I know that I will once I get off of here. And Damien, I also agree with you. When I see some of my Black friends who are running for office and I know them to be good people, I donate to them, even if I can't vote for them, because I know, as you said, it takes money. They can have all the passion in the world, but if they don't have the money, they don't have a shot. It's just the way it is. And so we are the change that we are looking for. I know we've heard that before, but for real. If we want change, we are going to have to do that. And that's actually by putting in the work. We're going to have to organize. And most importantly, as Damien says, and my good friend Jonelle says, that we have to love ourselves. You protect what you love at all costs. And if we loved ourselves more, we wouldn't continue keeping ourselves in this state of destitute and at the mercy of people who will never, ever save us.
Final thoughts, Damien?
I'll be quick. Again, thank y'all for having me as always. Appreciate the great conversation. Appreciate those in the comments and your support. And make sure you come and visit me at Damien Jones Podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But let me just say this, as we talk about this NBA protest, and again, I applaud, I tip my hat to those brothers for using their platform, right? But with any Black protests, any of our Black celebrities, any of our Black leaders, one thing I learned from Dr. Cornel West is here's what we have to do. We have to respect them. We're going to make sure that they are respected, and we're going to respect them, right? We've got to protect them from vicious KKK and racist folks as well, right? But after we protect them, after we respect them, once they get in office, we got to correct them in love at all times, right? There's nothing wrong with I tell my family members all the time, in love. Hold me accountable. Tell me when I'm wrong. Tell me where I can get better. I just hung up with my nephew who had 9th grade basketball practice, and I said, hey, you told me all the good stuff. Tell me where you need to improve. That's how we become greater. And so we've got to correct our leaders, whether be they black, white, blue, or what have you. And that's how we make our communities better. So don't be afraid to look eye to eye with your leaders and hold them accountable and correct them in love. They'll appreciate you for it. And I appreciate everybody clicking on that link. Thanks so much.
Even though I may say that it's not enough what the players did, it's a start. So guess what? If I was your leadership, this is what I would tell you to do. Every state where your kid is going to school, don't send them. Affect their money. Everywhere, if you got cable television, get rid of it. Anything that can affect their money. Go to the bank, pull all your money out the bank. Anything that can affect their money. Don't spend your money at all with these people, and you will get the movement that you need to get. I thank Damian for showing up as usual. You left it on the floor. Demetri, I can see you disturbed. I ain't never seen you like that. It take the wind out you some days. But, that's what I would tell you. But more importantly, for my people down in Texas, Louisiana, the Gulf Coast, get ready, because this category 4 look like it might turn into a 5. And I need you to survive this. I need you to be smart. If you need to evacuate, get up out of there, and we'll live to fight another day. But don't be dumb and think that you can fight that hurricane, man. It's not even at all possible. So with that being said, I want to thank you for another spirited discussion. My good friend Donovan Sadiq had to pop out, but he left it on the floor before he left. The Queen, Demetri K. Our brother in the struggle, Damian Thaddeus Jones. And I am the 5-star general. I'm finna go find me an NBA player for tomorrow night. If the NBA can sit down, where the NFL? Where Major League Baseball? We ain't playing no high school football. If you want change, you're going to have to suffer a little bit, and you're going to have to sacrifice. But it can happen. Until tomorrow night, we'll holler at you.